Sorry I'm late. We had a long line at Cougar Eat trying to get food, and it should have come sooner.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started. Today's March 16th, and we have just one item. It's just a discussion item on our agenda today. So we were planning to talk about the historic home tour, just kind of plan that out for this year. And I don't know, Matt, if you want to kind of dive in there. You've kind of led this in the past, so.
Yep, that's great. So I guess the question that we need to answer is, one, are we doing it this year? And two, where are we going to do it this year? The last couple of years, we've not done anything much because of COVID. And this year with COVID starting, well, still here, but with restrictions and people's comfort levels and vaccines all changing, hopefully, I guess I'm just wondering for the commission, do we think this year's a year we can start having tours or no, or what?
Matt?
Yeah.
I think it's a little late to actually start arranging for a tour to get people to open their homes this year. I still wonder if it isn't premature, if we shouldn't do what we did last year, one more year.
Okay. Jeff, what do you think?
My sense is that there may be still, I think Susan's right. I think there's still maybe some folks who are concerned about inviting the world into their homes. Might be a little aggressive of us to be asking people right now. So Susan, when you say do what we did last year, what are you referring to?
Oh, I was thinking of what we did. I believe it was the Joaquin neighborhood that we put together, kind of a virtual tour.
Okay.
Right.
And I mean, it would be nice to, sorry, I'm off screen right now. I'm coming back, I promise. It would be nice to have some sort of event, because then people are choosing in rather than us sort of descending on somebody's house. I don't know what that event might be, but we all know, since the three of us have been involved with this for a long time, there's a lot of interest in the historical architecture of Provo.
Yeah.
And I just wish
Jeff, I'm here.
Oh,
Jeff,
you are there. Okay. Where are you?
I'm in the conference room.
Okay, Dustin just pointed. All right, now I know where you are. We all know there's a lot of interest. Some kind of illustrated lecture, presentation, photo exhibit. I know it's late. I mean, we're in the middle of March. Maybe we can't do this by July. Something would be kind of cool.
I think it would be interesting to have some kind of a lecture.
I would agree.
I think that's a great idea. We basically could do kind of a hybrid of what we've done, what we did last year with what we could do, what we've done in years past with the presentation, and have pick a neighborhood and then invite somebody and have an event where we have someone come and talk about the architecture of something. The community church has expressed a lot of interest in, they wanted to be on the tour this year, and I explained that we hadn't decided what we were doing yet, but they would really love to have people come to their place. So, I'm thinking what perhaps we could do is have a neighborhood highlighted and do the walking tour like we did last year, and then perhaps ask the church if we can come there and have a talk there.
And maybe the talk could be about the church and other religions other than Mormon in Provo.
You mean about like their buildings?
Their buildings and their history.
Yeah.
Right.
Do any of us know anyone who
Mary's.
specializes in kind of the sacred architecture of Provo? Who could talk about current and former churches that existed in the town?
I don't.
I don't either.
I could ask Randy. Oh, sorry, Jesse, do you have a thought?
I think the guy who's the State Historical Society has done some of that. Things not coming to me now. We talked about the Provo temples.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I could ask, what's her, Emily
Utt.
if she knows of somebody else.
Well, and I worked in the same area as Emily as a service missionary.
Oh,
But the
okay.
guy at the State Historical Society that's researched the Provo temples.
Right.
I think, and there's other people. I can do some research and see.
If you would.
Somebody wrote a lot of research about Provo churches.
If you would, that would be great.
It just seems to me there might be some nice symmetry here if we have a presentation on that in or built around also a visit to the church. It's kind of, I don't know, maybe that's just my weird orderly mind trying to work that way, but I kind of like that.
I think that'd be great.
And it wouldn't even have to just be, we couldn't not necessarily eliminate the LDS church. We could look at some of the historic churches in the area, like the Provo First Ward building.
Oh, I agree. I think we should be pretty.
Ones that have been changed, the one that's been changed into a business on Fifth West.
The Fourth Ward.
Yeah.
It could be all sort of church
Yeah.
related.
Oh, I agree. We should be pretty broad. Yeah.
Just St. Francis
Mhm.
no longer exists. A couple years ago, we sort of did that with Paul Anderson.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Paul's no longer with us. But he focused primarily on the LDS chapels in Provo. He didn't look at the other faiths. And so, Jesse, if you want to poke around and see if you can find somebody who might have that in their quiver as an expertise. Frankly, I'm thinking of, and I can't think of his name. He was the last one to speak to us when we had an event a couple years ago. And he works up at the Historical Society.
Alan Burnett.
Alan, yeah, Alan.
That's the person I was thinking of too.
Yeah, I wonder if Alan would have.
I think he's done some things about other Provo churches.
Oh, yeah. Would you be willing to contact him, Jesse?
I can, yeah. I'll probably just send him an email.
Yeah, sure. That'd be great. That'd be really great. I know he's been very interested. I mean, he's a local, and I know after his last lecture to us we had at the First Ward building, he expressed a lot of interest in doing other things to help out with historic preservation in Provo. So I think that would be great. What I would not want to do, and in fact, when he came, he talked about the Provo Temple, the history of the Provo Temple.
Right.
What I would not want to do is something like that.
Right.
In part because it's already been done, and right now, I'd rather have us not appear to be an activist organization.
I think it's better for us if we stay away from activism and fundraising.
Yeah. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm being too sensitive about that, but.
I think that we've already done it and there's no reason to do it again. And
yeah, good.
I think the focus should be, I think as much as possible, the focus should be on the church that we're meeting in.
Yeah, I agree.
And then refer to other ones, so.
And I presume because they've applied for national as well as local registries, I'm guessing there's research that's been done at the state archives that Alan or whomever could draw upon, I would hope.
Well, and if worse comes to worse, I'd be willing to give the presentation.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you for volunteering, Jesse.
I said worse to worse.
Well, we're not too many steps away from that, and that doesn't sound that bad to me. So,
I would need some help in putting together a PowerPoint from someone that knows technology.
Absolutely. I could help out. I'm sure there's a couple of us that could do that. Sorry, I'm eating lunch while I've been in meetings back to back this morning. So with that kind of settled, and I'll call the church and ask if they can host us.
That's great.
What night do we want to do this? It seems like
Yeah,
historically,
work around the Freedom Festival schedule.
yeah. So historically, we've done it like in mid-June is when
Right.
we've typically held this. I don't see why we would need to deviate from that. I mean, we could say June 17th. It's a Friday night. What do you think?
Is there anything else scheduled from Freedom Festival?
Let me jump on and find out.
While I'm thinking about it, Matt, if
Yeah.
you're talking to the church, could you ask them what kind of history things they have that they could share?
Yeah, of course. Great idea.
Hey, Dustin, while Matt looks, let Bill know we all saw him get bored and walk out of the meeting.
So it looks like they've got the Carillon concert on the 17th, on Friday, June 17th, which I think they prefer us not to compete with events. We could do Thursday, the 16th.
I personally like Thursdays. Is there anything scheduled on that day?
No, not at this point. Not on the calendar anyway. I kind of like a Thursday too, because it's not a Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
So should we just I'll ask for the June 16th then, Thursday, June 16th.
I like it. Let's grab the date.
And we'll just kind of think 7. The other thing for us to think about then would be, are there, in the past we've honored citizens or homeowners or building business owners. We might want to think about that too.
We've given awards. We had a whole bunch lined up that I don't think we've ever given.
Oh, Justin, can you kind of look into that?
That was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that we had to cancel. And
Yeah.
Justin, could you peek into your files and see what we have?
Yeah, I'll look around and see. I'm not aware of that, but I'll see if I can find anything.
Sure.
You said from a few years ago there was.
This would have been, this would have been 2020 probably.
Okay.
I think.
Might have been even earlier.
Maybe 2019. I'll look in my stuff too and see if I have any notes.
Matt, do we want just a lecture, or do we want to also have some write-ups about some churches?
I'm sorry, what was that, Jesse?
Do you want to just have the lecture, or do you want some write-ups about some churches that people could drive by or walk by?
Well, that's a good question. So I guess that was the next thought was, is there a neighborhood we want to focus on, but maybe we don't do a neighborhood, maybe we do churches. And
yeah, I kind of like staying with the thematic approach and doing something on, sacred architecture in Provo.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, agreed.
So Susan and Jesse, you're the ones that would be providing those write-ups, at least historically. How do you feel about doing that?
It'll be a little later for me to get to it, but I'd be willing to help with it.
Okay.
So what?
Well, I'll do some research about what. I know there's some articles that have been written about religion, churches in Provo, and I'll find those articles at the BYU library, and I think you may not be much to write them up. So, and I have time more than most people do.
That'd be great.
Let's brainstorm quickly. What existing historic non-LDS structures exist in Provo? There's the Episcopalian Church or the Anglican Church.
St. Mary's.
Yeah, and then there's the one that's been converted into a theater. What's?
It's a church again, but it was a theater.
Oh, is it the church again?
Christian Scientists.
Yeah, the Christian Scientists.
The original Christian Scientists. Yeah.
There's
St. Francis, of course, is gone.
Started as a Christian Science, or did it start as a Mormon church?
No, I don't think it's ever been an LDS church. I think it was originally built as a church of another faith or non-LDS faith.
You have the little A-frame on, is it 7th East, the Seventh-day Adventist?
Yes.
Oh, right, down south, like
Yeah.
3rd south, 2nd south, 4th south, somewhere in there.
Right before 3rd South.
Yeah, what about that? I've always been fascinated by the RLDS chapel that's now a home.
Yes.
In the Franklin neighborhood.
I've written about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
that one's really interesting to me. So So we have at least a half dozen, maybe 10 or so churches that.
And I don't think we need that many. I think if we had half a dozen, that would be.
No, I think you're right. I think
you're right. And I think, I don't think we need to be exclusionary here. So I think we include some fine examples of all faiths, including we choose one or two LDS chapels that we think are worth highlighting, and then make sure we have a good overview of other structures as well.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I really like the one on Fifth West, and that's now a school.
Yeah, the Fourth Ward, that academy or whatever it is now.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a beautiful building.
that in the
Yeah.
first ward.
Yeah, the one on Fifth West, and Jesse and Susan, you probably have all the information you need on that, but that's where
Oh, yeah.
my wife's family settled. They were the Sandy Alley. They were the redheads on Fifth West.
Oh, really? Cool.
Who were pretty prominent in that building. So I've got some local stuff as well.
Cool. Well, that's actually really great. This could be a really fun thing. So I guess then the next question is, do we want to see if any of those churches want to let us in, or should it just be a sidewalk tour?
They're not going to let you into the old RLDS church.
Right. Private home. Well, and that's kind of what I was thinking is if we
St.
don't
Mary's
believe,
might be willing to let you in.
what's that?
St. Mary's might be willing to let people in.
Right.
Right. Well, and the community church obviously wants to
Right.
have us come in. But my thought is if we don't, it might be too confusing to say you can go in this one, but you can't go in that one.
Right.
I think it'd be easier not to just go in the one that we're going in.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking is we just, all the churches on the list, on the brochure, the PDF thing will be sidewalk tour, but we will go into the community church one. Does that?
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Okay.
Guess we better clear that date with the community church as well.
Yeah. I'll call them this afternoon. I've got
Yeah.
a contact number of somebody who I've been emailing with. So cool. Well, this came together nicely. I mean, the idea so far.
I
Anyway.
think not planning on volunteering to do anything though, so I obviously missed my plan.
And I can put together the PDF with the map and everything of all those addresses and everything. So if there's a little write-up, I can put that together if you provide that information.
Okay.
Marvelous. That's great.
That's great.
So did somebody put a list together of those churches?
I wrote down the Episcopalian Church, the Christian Science, the Seventh-day Adventist, the RLDS Church, and maybe the Fourth Ward and the First Ward.
Yeah.
And the Seventh-day Adventist.
Yeah, I said Seventh-day.
Oh, okay.
Are there any others? We don't have any Jewish synagogues in Provo, do we? I mean, I don't think we do.
It's too bad St. Francis isn't still there.
Yeah, I know. I think we ought to do one on St. Francis, frankly.
I think that's a good idea.
I mean, we need to, recognize the buildings that aren't with us anymore that are important to our heritage, regardless of how they were torn down.
Susan, Jesse, are we aware, has there ever been a synagogue in Provo?
I know that I did a lot of research about churches in Utah and churches in Provo. Let me look at that first before we make any.
Because I know there was a bit of a community of Jews in Provo, many of them involved in commercial activities. So I just didn't know if they ever had a place of worship or not.
Right.
I'll have to look into that.
Awesome. Well, what else do we need to discuss then? I think we've kind of got an idea of what to do.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I'll call the community church today and send an email out to everybody and let you know what the status is. I'm hopeful and presuming that they'll be very amenable to it. I know they're having an event tomorrow on St. Patrick's Day, kind of an open house thing I keep getting emails about. So they're trying pretty hard to get people to come in and see what they've done. So Awesome.
Do we want to touch base next month and just kind of follow up on everything, see where we've landed on some of those questions, or just communicate through email between?
I think we probably ought to get together. I know on April 1st, so in a couple weeks, I need to be giving the Freedom Festival our write-up for the magazine. So I will use the usual template that I usually use, but I'll just announce that there will be PDFs. We're going to be looking at churches for download, PDFs for download for Sidewalk walking tour or driving tour, because they're not all bunched together. And then hopefully the event on June 16th. I presume 7 p.m.
Right? You don't have to give them any more details, right? On the April 1st.
No, I think I think what I just said is probably enough for. If I come into a roadblock, I'll let you know. So, but I think it can be generally vague enough. I mean, it has to give some details about like when and where the event is and how it's being conducted. And I think we can, based on what we've decided and contingent on the community church, I think we're good there. So, Dustin, do you have anything else for us?
No, that's great. I think that sounds like a good plan, and I'll schedule us again for next month. And if there's things we need to communicate between now and then, we can do that through email or contacting each other. If you get some information that needs to be passed on to someone, we'll just do it that way. It sounds like that should work.
But don't you want to know my humorous idea?
What was that?
That we celebrate the buildings that we're currently in before they get torn down.
Like which ones?
The old city offices, though.
Oh, the one that you're in. Sorry.
That I'm in.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have a chuckle. Because I remember when they were built and they were seen as the most wonderful things in the world. And then I was given a tour. Then when they were trying to pass the bond, they said, "This is such a terrible building." And I was like, I remember, and I'm not that old.
How things change. Jeff, were you going to make a comment?
Well, I just wanted to ask Dustin before, because I know we can wrap up here in a second. But Dustin, a couple of months ago, we heard a proposal from an applicant about modifications to a building downtown. I'm not going to get the address right, but close to the old Dixon Taylor Russell building. He wanted to do a rooftop gazebo kind of thing. You know what I'm talking about, the proposal?
Yeah, so that one's under construction right now.
Okay.
So not sure when they're planning to have it completed, but yeah, it's underway right now.
And are they anything about the startup building?
No.
Susan, do you have anything?
No. Mm-mm.
I don't imagine, but there's no community comments or anything, is there?
No, this is just a discussion item today.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I thought. All right, well then, we're adjourned, and I will find out about the church and let you all know. And Jesse, if you'll bird dog that information on the different churches, and Susan, if you can provide backup, and Jeff, if you can just continue to be our eye candy, I think we're good.
Somehow I managed to get out of these with never having assignments. So this is the best committee I'm on. This is the best.
Well, you have the nicest looking office, that's for sure.
So I've been told by people who think I shouldn't be in here. So
awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you. That was great.
Thanks.
Have a great month, I guess. Oh, and Susan, you sent me an email, and I will be getting that information to you shortly.
Okay, great. Thanks.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's been a busy time, so.
You're in good company, Matt.
Thank you. Okay. See you, everybody.
Okay.